I'm on a book buying ban and I promise I have not broken it. Hello, I'm Beth Joey and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, welcome. This is the channel where I paint my face, turn my camera on and talk about some books. I'm currently on a book buying ban. It's my sort of plan for the year that I don't buy any books outside of series I'm continuing, aka if a new Sarah J Maas comes out, you best believe that I am buying that book. Or if I get gift cards or make money off of the books that I sell on Vinted, then I can use that money to buy books because then I'm technically not spending any of my own money. It makes sense in my mind, just go with it, we're going with it. As a result of knowing that I was going to be on a book buying ban in 2023, 2022 December time was just a complete free-for-all. I spent so much money on books that I didn't need because I knew that come the new year I would have to give that all up. Today I'm going to run you through the many books that I bought before I went on my book buying ban. I don't really want to dilly-dally or dawdle because this is a long list of books, so let's just get straight in. First up, we've got Heart of the Sun Warrior by Su Lin Tan. This is the beautiful Fairy Loot edition of this book. It is the sequel to Daughter of the Moon Goddess, a book that I have not read yet. This series is about Xingyin, the daughter of the Chinese moon goddess, who has been exiled by the Celestial Emperor for stealing his elixir of immortality. But when Xingyin's own magic flares and her existence is discovered, she is forced to flee her home and make her way to the Celestial Kingdom, where she recruits the help of the prince to learn more about magic, disguising her identity even as passions flame between her and the prince. So this is the sequel to that book and I cannot wait. Next up, we've got American Gods by Neil Gaiman, which is about Shadow Moon, who after 3 years in prison, he finds out that his beloved wife is killed in a freak accident. He then boards a plane and is seated next to an enigmatic stranger who reveals himself to be the King of America, apparently. This man claims to be an ancient god, and so together they embark on a journey across the US. But unbeknownst to them, war is coming and an epic struggle for the very soul of America is brewing, with Shadow standing squarely in its path. So this is one that Ben picked for me, and I have no idea what I'm going to get out of this read. I have no idea what I'm going to think of this read. It is definitely not something I would ever usually read, and it is a chunker. So this is going to be an audiobook reading duo experience. Next up, we've got A Fatal Crossing by Tom Hindle. This is a very interesting murder mystery set in the 1920s on a cruise ship where a murder takes place and the main characters have until the end of the cruise to figure out who did it. Then we've got Twin Crowns by Catherine Doyle and Catherine Weber. This is about two women who one of them knows that they're sisters and I think the other one doesn't, and it's very much a battle for the crown. One of them, Princess Rose Valhart, is heir to the throne, trained from birth to fear the witches that killed her parents. She will do anything to defend her kingdom. And then the other, stolen from the palace of birth, Ren Greenrock, is the secret sister that no one knows about, who is set to usurp the princess in order to protect the witches of Arthur who raised her. So it's definitely a battle for power in this one. Then we've got a book which I know literally nothing about because I picked it up based entirely on the cover, and that is Unsettled Ground by Claire Fuller. I mean, just look at that. It is creepy and eerie and very rotten. As for what it's about, it says, when you live on the edge of society, it only takes one step to fall between the cracks. Jeannie and Julius have always been different from other people. At 51 years old, the twins still live with their mother, Dot, in her isolated ramshackle cottage, making music and growing and sometimes killing everything they need for sustenance. But when Dot dies suddenly, threats to their livelihood start raining down. Desperate to preserve their small sanctuary against the perils of the outside world, Jeannie and Julius find themselves pushed further to the margins as their mother's secrets begin to unravel, putting everything they thought they knew about their lives at stake. So I think this sounds fascinating, and it's baby short, so we love that. Then we've got Ghosted by Jen Ashworth. This is about a woman whose husband mysteriously disappears one morning and all he leaves behind is his wallet and his phone, and she takes weeks to report that he is missing, which naturally has the police feeling very suspicious of her, and she begins to question her own behavior and this otherworldly presence that she feels in her house. Then we've got A Crown of Talons and A Throne of Swans by Catherine and Elizabeth Kaur. These are two books, again, that I know literally nothing about. I just saw them on another person's Vinted profile and thought they sounded interesting. As for what it's about, it says, when her father dies just before her 18th birthday, Aderin inherits the role of protector of Atratus, a dominion in a kingdom where nobles can transform into birds. Aderin's ancestral bird is a swan, but she has not been able to transform for years, not since witnessing the death of her mother. Aderin must venture into the malevolent heart of the Citadel in order to seek the truth about the attack that killed her mother and to fight for the land she has vowed to protect. So it's an epic story about broken loyalties, hidden secrets, and daring courage. Then we've got The City of Lost Dreamers by Lisa Ludecki. I apologize, that was a horrible pronunciation. As for what this is about, it is set in a city that has been forced to wander forever, and then a young girl named Sia finds the remnants of a magical map that will reunite her home with the rest of the world. Fed up of being overlooked as the magicless daughter of a powerful magician, she teams up with her worst enemy, Theodore, in order to restore the map and return her home to its rightful place. So Baby Short sounds interesting. Then we've got the entire Rhapsodic series by Laura Thalassa. This follows a young girl who has a chain of beads dotted up her arm because she has made over 300 deals with the Bargainer, a man who is notoriously known for cashing in on deals he makes with people immediately after making them. So why does this woman have over 300 uncashed in on deals up her arm? This is definitely the story of their romance and their history, and I've only read the first book and I'm really keen to read the rest. Next up, we've got the Green Bone Saga by Fonda Lee. This is a series that I first attempted to read when I first got back into reading and really struggled with the first book, really struggled to have any interest, but I think now that I'm a bit more of a critical reader, now that I have read a few more sort of complicated and nuanced books, and now that I'm finding that the books that I read when I first started are things that I'm finding too simplistic now, I think it might be time to jump back into this trilogy. As for what this is about, I am going to read you the blurb because I get this blurb wrong every single time I try to recite it. So it says, "Jade is the lifeblood of the city of Janloon, a stone that enhances a warrior's natural strength and speed. It is mined, traded, stolen, and killed for, all controlled by two families equal in their power and ruthlessness. When a modern drug emerges that allows anyone, even foreigners, to wield Jade, simmering tension between the two clans erupts into open war." So super intrigued by this one. I heard this book breaks people, so I'm keen to join the party. Next up, we've got a bit of a domestic thriller, I guess, with Magpie by Elizabeth Day. This is about a woman named Marissa who, when she meets Jake, everything falls into place until she meets their new lodger, Kate, who seems to have a very unhealthy interest in involving herself in their lives. She places her toothbrush next to theirs. She asks questions aplenty about their unborn baby. And Marissa is very suspicious of her, although Jake doesn't seem to be. So Marissa's like, is it all in her head? Or is something really wrong? And if she finds out what's really wrong, will it cost her everything? So super intrigued by this. Then we've got The Lies You Told by Harriet Tice. As for what this is about, it says, can you tell the truth from the lies? Sadie loves her daughter and will do anything to keep her safe, but she can't tell her why they had to leave home so quickly, or why Robin's father won't be coming with them to London. She can't tell her why she hates being back in her dead mother's house with its ivy-covered walls and its poisonous memories. And she can't tell her the truth about the school Robin's set to start at, a school that doesn't welcome newcomers. Sadie just wants to get their lives back on track, but even lies with the best intentions can have deadly consequences. Then we've got another domestic thriller with His and Hers by Alice Feeney. This is about a woman named Anna Andrews. She is a newsreader and she's very reluctant to cover the case of a woman being murdered. And her ex-husband, DCI Jack Harper, becomes very suspicious of her involvement in this particular case until he becomes a suspect in his very own murder investigation. So I'm super intrigued to see how their lives sort of knot together and how these two murder investigations potentially knot together. Then we've got Murder at the Theatre Royale by Ada Moncrief. It says, Christmas 1935, director Chester Harrison's new production of A Christmas Carol has been on a troubled tour of regional theatres. With tensions amongst the cast running high, the play has at last reached its final stop, London's Theatre Royale, a few days before Christmas. Catastrophe, however, strikes before opening night. Scrooge dies on stage, seemingly due to a heart attack, but the show must go on. Until, that is, an old rival of Chester's is murdered in a dressing room. Are those associated with the play being picked off one by one? Journalist Daphne King is determined to reveal the truth. Then we've got The Bullet That Missed and The Man Who Died Twice by Richard Osman. These are books 2 and 3 in the Thursday Murder Club series, which is all about a group of elderly people in an aged care facility who have a club that meets every Thursday in order to solve old cold cases until very real, very current cases start popping up all around them and they decide to take on the police and solve these cases themselves. It's a super charming series about really taking control of your life in the later years of your life and really owning your abilities, and I absolutely loved the first book, so I cannot wait to get started on these two as well. Then we've got The Ashes of London by Andrew Taylor. This is a murder mystery set in 1666 around the time of the Great Fire in London. As the Great Fire consumes everything in its path, a body of a man is found in St. Paul's Cathedral, and he definitely was not a victim of the fire. And James Marwood, the son of a trader, is forced to hunt down the killer through the city's devastated streets, where he encounters a young woman who is determined and will stop at nothing in order to secure her freedom. When a second murder victim washes up, Marwood is forced into the political and religious religious intrigues of London at this time, and potentially cross the path of a killer with nothing to lose. So this sounds like a really, really interesting one, and I love that it's set around a real historical occurrence and it's taking a spin on the sort of devastation of that fire by plotting a murder in it. Then we've got Our Violent Ends by Chloe Gong, which is the sequel to These Violent Delights, which is a Romeo and Juliet retelling set in Shanghai, I believe in the 20s. It follows two crime families, obviously kind of recreating the Montagues and the Capulets, and then Juliet and Roma, two people who have a bit of a romantic history with each other and are forced to work together in order to find out about this mysterious plague that seems to be plaguing their town or the place that they live. And this is the sequel to that. I haven't read the first book, so that blurb might be completely wrong, but I am keen to eventually pick this one up. Then we've got The Skeleton Key by Erin Kelly. I was at Waterstones yesterday and I almost picked up the paperback version of this thinking it looked really interesting, but thank God I put it down, otherwise I would have 2 copies of this book. And as for what it's about, it says, in a large house in London, 2 families meet. One person among them is excited about the revelation he is about to make. The others dread what will happen next. The Golden Bones by Frank Churchill was published 50 years ago as a simple fairy tale and treasure map, but it soon grew into a dangerous obsession for many, bringing despair, danger, and even death to those associated with it. All the while, a single piece of the puzzle remained unaccounted for. Now, Sir Frank wants one last publicity burst, then to put the whole thing to rest. His family are violently against the idea. None of them want the scrutiny it will bring, and as buried secrets rise to the surface, crimes of the past and present are revealed. There definitely seems to be a very murder mystery sway to a lot of these books, but let's keep going. We've then got Lightlark by Alex Aster, where I was absolutely sold by the cover and the blurbs on the back from Chloe Gong, Marie Lu, Adam Silvera, and Sabaa Tahir. Like, those are some powerhouse authors blurbing this book. As for what it's about, it says, welcome to the Centennial. Every 100 years, the island of Lilac appears for only 100 days to host a deadly game, where the rulers of 6 realms fight to break their curses and win unparalleled power. Each ruler has something to hide. Each curse is uniquely wicked. To break them and save themselves and their realms, one ruler will die. To survive, Isla Crown must lie, cheat, betray, even as love complicates everything. The blurb kind of reminds me of a mix of Lore by Alexandra Bracken and then of Caraval by Stephanie Garber, and I'm hoping it's got the amazing parts of both of those books. Then we've got Till the Cows Come Home by Jeremy Clarkson. This is the second book written by Jeremy Clarkson, all about his life trying to manage a farm. And it's honestly the most funny and just snarky, satirical, just hilarious, tongue-in-cheek kind of series of articles, I guess, all about red tape in farming and the environment and global warming and the very, very brutal truth of dealing with these animals and crop rotations and all these sorts of things. It's hilarious. I loved the first book and I cannot wait to try out the second. Then we've got Blade Breaker by Victoria Aveyard, which is the sequel to Realm Breaker by the same author. I haven't read the first book, but I am keen to pick it up. It kind of gives me Six of Crows vibes in that it's about 6 people who have to band together in order to save their kingdom, basically, which reminds me a lot of Six of Crows. And we've still got more. Next up, we've got Misfit by Elle Kennedy, which is a preppy romance between a bad boy and a good girl trying to secure her reputation. RJ has been sent to Sandover Prep for his senior year, and he is very much not looking forward to it, knowing that a misfit hacker like himself is never going to fit in at Sandover. RJ decides that there is no point in even trying until he meets a gorgeous girl on campus by the name of Sloane, who is pure temptation with a sharp tongue and a quick wit. She's got an ice princess attitude that RJ is determined to crack if only he can avoid getting absolutely murdered by her ex-boyfriend. Then we've got Wicked Beauty by Katie Robert, which is the 3rd book in a series of Greek god retellings, except spicy, by this author. So there's Hades and Persephone, I believe there's Ares and Psyche, I think is the right one. I could be completely wrong there. And then this one is Achilles, Patroclus, and Helen of Troy. So you can take from that what you will. Then we've got The Lighthouse Witches by C.J. Cook. As for what this is about, it says, a deserted lighthouse. Upon the cliffs of a remote Scottish island stands a lighthouse. Strange and terrible events have happened here. It started with a witch hunt. Now, centuries later, islanders are vanishing. A lost family. Liv Stay and her children don't believe in witches or curses, but within months of arriving on the island, her daughter Luna is the only one of them left. An impossible child. 20 years later, Luna's missing sister turns up out of the blue. She is exactly the girl Luna remembers. Same face, same smile, same age. Faced with the impossible, it's up to Luna to find out what really happened at the lighthouse all those years ago. It sounds like a fascinating sort of murder mystery with a fantasy twist and witches, and oh, I can't wait. Then we've got Weather Girl by Rachel Lynn Solomon. After I read The X Talk by this author, I was definitely intrigued to pick up this book, and then it took me forever to actually do it, but I am so glad that I have it now. As what it's about, it says Ari Abrams loves working as a TV meteorologist, but unfortunately her boss is so busy fighting with her ex, who happens to be the station's news director, that there's always a storm brewing inside the newsroom. After a particularly explosive showdown, Ari and shy sports reporter Russell hatch a plan to get their bosses back together fast. As they work to help the sparring exes fall back in love, Ari finds herself telling Russell things that she has always kept hidden, and soon realizes there's more to her quiet colleague than meets the eye. It seems like love might have been in front of Ari all along, but will Russell be able to embrace her dark clouds as well as her clear skies? I love the sound of that. It sounds so cute and fun. We're on the final stretch of the last 4 books. Next up, we've got Really Good Actually by Monica Hasey, who I believe was a writer for Schitt's Creek, and I love Schitt's Creek. I love the humor of it, so I cannot wait to read this book. As for what it's about, I believe it is sort of a woman has had her life thrown apart. She's gotten a divorce 608 days after getting married, and so she's just trying to figure out how to get her life back together. It says soon she's taking up sadness hobbies, getting back out there sex-wise, and oversharing in the group chat. As Maggie throws herself headlong into the chaos of her first year of divorce, she finds herself questioning everything, including why do we still get married? Did I fail before I even got started? And how many 4 AM delivery burgers do I need to eat until I'm happy? So it's a debut novel all about the uncertainties of modern love, friendship, and happiness from new voice in fiction, Monica Hasey. Then we've got A Lady's Guide to Fortune Hunting by Sophie Irwin, which I'm kind of intrigued to know a bit more about because some people have told me it's kind of like Bridgerton in the whole Regency romance vibe, but it's about a woman named Kitty Talbot who desperately needs a fortune, or more accurately, she needs to marry someone with a fortune. It's 1818, and with just 12 weeks before Kitty and her sisters are set to be homeless, Kitty launches herself into London society with the goal of fortune hunting, only to meet Lord Radcliffe, who is determined to thwart her at any cost, and I bet you can guess what happens next. Next up, we've got Wayward by Amelia Hart, which again, this was a complete cover buy. It is beautiful. I love the way the pink sort of contrasts with the blue and the browns in the background. I mean, I'm obsessed with this cover. I think it is absolutely gorgeous. But as for what it's about, it says, Kate 2019. Kate flees London, abandoning everything for Cumbria and Wayward Cottage, inherited from her great aunt. There, a secret lurks in the bones of the house, hidden ever since the witch hunts of the 17th century. Violet 1942. Violet is more interested in collecting insects and climbing trees than in becoming a proper young lady, until a chain of shocking events changes her life forever. Alpha 1619. Alpha is on trial for witchcraft, accused of killing a local man. Known for her uncanny connection with nature and animals, she is a threat that must be eliminated. But wayward women belong to the wild, and they cannot be tamed. So it weaves together the stories of these 3 women, and I cannot wait to read more. And very, very last of all, we have got God Killer by Hannah Kaner, which 100% was a complete cover buy because look at how stunning that is. And then look, even better than that, even better if you can possibly believe, then that cover is the inside. Look at that. Like, look at how stunningly beautiful and just colorful that is, and it's the most lovely green. Like, this green is the green of my dreams. I'm not a green fan, but this green is got me green with envy. Yes, I made that joke. Don't judge me. But as for what this is about, I know nothing because it was a complete cover buy. So it says, you are not welcome here, God Killer. Kissen's family were killed by zealots of a fire god. Now she makes a living killing gods and enjoys it. That is, until she finds a god she cannot kill. Skedi, a god of white lies, has somehow bound himself to a young noble, and they are both on the run from unknown assassins. Joined by a disillusioned knight on a secret quest, they must travel to the ruined city of Blenraden, where the last of the wild gods reside, to each beg a favor. Pursued by demons and in the midst of burgeoning civil war, they will all face a reckoning. Something is rotting at the heart of the kingdom, and only they can be the ones to stop it. I cannot wait to get stuck into this book. This is definitely going to be a very, very prompt read for me. I'm going to be picking this up soon because it's also baby short. Like, at only 288 pages, how could I not read this in like a day? That is the last book. So that is the end of this book haul. That is all the books that I bought before I went on my book buying ban, and any that I've bought with like gift cards and things ever since. That is a total of 38 books. Clearly I went on a binge before I decided I wasn't allowed to buy any more. That is everything. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these books, loved them, hated them, what your thoughts are on any of these books, or if not, just let me know what you're reading at the moment. I love talking to you guys in the comments down below, and I do my best to reply to every single comment. I really, really hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please do let me know by liking, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell all down below. It is a super, super easy way to help my channel grow, and I will see you lovely people in my next video. Bye!